Hi everybody, it's the Razman with another RazMansReality. Today's edition is probably going to be a very short one for two reasons. One, I'm feeling really under the weather. My allergies / sinuses are really kind of bad today. And two, there is just nothing out there to really talk about. As such, I'm going to have some wrestling news at the end of this report. I normally don't give news anymore because I don't want to spoil people and spoil storylines in wrestling, but like I said, there's just almost nothing out there today that's discussion worthy, so I'm going to go ahead and put that at the end of this report. The Bengals put the franchise tag on Shane Graham and not TJ Houshmandzadeh, which has me and the rest of the Bengal Nation out there kind of nervous as to whether or not he'll be back in a Bengals uniform. With Chad Johnson's performance, or Chad Ochocinco, whichever name you prefer to call him by, with his performance somewhat lackadaisical the last couple of years, you can't rely on him to do everything. And what made us a successful offense when we had a good quarterback, and by that I mean Carson Palmer is a little bit better quarterback than Ryan Fitzpatrick was last year, and instead the thing that made us successful was the threat of the passing game, and mainly two good receivers and a good third receiver as far as the big play and the long runs, and that being Chris Henry. But without TJ Houshmandzadeh there, that threat's pretty much gone, so we'll have to wait and see how they approach free agency. But unless Anquan Bolden becomes available in this year's free agent market, there's clearly no one that is on TJ Houshmandzadeh's level, unless they use that high draft pick of theirs to not go after a defensive player and going out after an offensive player and draft Texas Tech's Michael Crabtree, who is the best receiver in the draft. They have I believe it's the number 6, maybe 7, maybe a little higher than that, but we have a pretty high draft pick, so there's a chance that Crabtree would still be around. But like I've said before, I would much prefer Chris Wills or Noshawn Moreno or James Laurinaitis to be used with that pick, so we'll just have to wait and see what the Bengals do in the offseason. You may have noticed the links that are going to be on the side of this video in the description, as well as possibly in a YouTube bubble, although I don't know if the YouTube bubbles work for non-YouTube links. I remember trying to put a non-YouTube link up here once and it didn't work, but RazMansReality number 30, the blog that I did about 11 editions ago, that was my personal plea to J.K. Rowling and my overall thoughts of the Harry Potter franchise. I was doing a web search on Miss Rowling yesterday and her lawsuit. If you don't know about that lawsuit, the quick rundown of that is she is suing herself, another company, who is trying to publish her works without actually writing them in the form of an encyclopedia. And because she didn't get permission to do it, it shouldn't be legal, and that's why they're trying to stop it. Rowling herself has said that there will be a Harry Potter encyclopedia, but this is not the licensed one, and that's why the reason for the lawsuit. Anyway, when I was searching the lawsuit and searching J.K. Rowling, I found that very same RazMansReality number 30 on two other websites. People use the embedding to to embed my blog and put it on their website as newsworthy. So that made me feel pretty good and makes me feel like somebody's listening, and maybe what I am saying is getting people's attention. So that was really cool. Thank you to those two websites, and thank you to you if you've been getting word out about this show and however you've been doing it. And since we're talking about fantasy, let's talk about that real quick. What makes a good adaptation of a book and what doesn't? I think the main thing that you have to focus on when you're adapting a book to film is to, one, make sure you are aware of your audience. Don't pull a Zeus cast like they did with Prince Caspian, because you will alienate the fan base. In that case, it was Narnia. And two, follow the book as closely as you can without rewriting the book itself, or just mouthing the book word for word. I think that's one of the complaints about the BBC versions of the Narnia series from years ago, the little TV serials, was that it followed the book too closely and wasn't an adaptation at all. I think that's the fine line, is trying to find what makes a good movie, what's important to a film, and what you can cut out and what you can't. And if you don't think you can cut anything out, as per the case of Deathly Hallows, make more than one film, which is what the Harry Potter makers are doing by splitting Deathly Hallows into two parts. Okay, so the wrestling news. If you don't want to be spoiled, please stop watching this blog now, or by the time I get done counting backwards from 5. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Turns out the reports that Christian was supposed to be Jeff Hardy's attacker were not false. That was WWE's original plan, but Vince was furious when that news got out, so they gave the spot to Hardy instead. Now Vince apparently does not feel that Christian is a main event star, so we'll have to see if Christian can prove himself, or maybe it's just Vince having sour grapes that angle went out. I'd like to think that it's the latter. Mickey Rourke versus Chris Jericho may still be a possibility. They're waiting until after this Sunday's Academy Awards / Oscars to see if they can get Rourke to agree to it. If he does agree to it, then that will be one match. Another possible match is John Cena versus Hulk Hogan, but that match will only happen if Chris Jericho doesn't end up facing Hulk Hogan, which is the tentative plan right now, and the John Cena Edge feud would continue. And if the first scenario happens, Edge will go into a feud with the Big Show, because they've already teased that storyline. With that, this is reality according to the RazMan. Sorry about the sun peeking through here at the end of the video. And RazMan style, it's not just a catchphrase, but a way of life.